Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Boxing, Weights and Rugby YouTube channel. I am here with my dear friend Enda, and we have Luke will be joining us at some point intermittently. So the plan is we will start with the fights from earlier on in the month, and then we will come into later November and last weekend's action. We were all at various fights across the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So look forward to chatting. How are you, my friend?
I'm in great form, flying it. I've lost, since my heaviest, I've lost 20 kilos. I'm still overweight, but I'm down a good sight.
That's a brilliant bit. Well, how are you feeling with the weight off?
Oh, a lot more healthy.
A lot healthier, yeah. How did you go about it?
Walking, and not eating as much crap.
It's amazing how moving more and eating less always makes a difference.
It's basic science, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Calories in, calories burned.
Absolutely. Right. Where shall we start? Shall we start with Cordina or Stevenson?
Let's get it out of the way.
Okay. And we're not going to have his main fanboy here to defend him.
He wouldn't defend him anyway. And I'm a big fan of Stevenson, but he just stank that night.
Absolutely. So, Stevenson with a unanimous decision versus Dos Santos. What did you think of the fight?
I was defending Stevenson for a few rounds, and then I was like, actually, no.
It was one of those ones where one guy couldn't fight and one guy didn't want to.
But he said, he wouldn't attack me. Well, if you're both going to be counter-punchers, that can happen.
Oh, this is it. It's the I've said this for ages. I don't think Stevenson's a card carrier.
No, absolutely not. He's not a pay-per-view star. He might be an excellent boxer, but he couldn't sell a pay-per-view to save his life.
But again, it's one of those ones where Stevenson is. I think we all agree that Stevenson is one of the best, if not the best, of all of the prospects. He's not really a prospect anymore.
He's not a prospect anymore. But I thought that up until Devin Haney's fight, and I think Devin Haney could beat him now.
I think it all depends on the kind of size. And again, we all remember these guys are flying up through the weight classes.
Yeah, it's like, you know.
It does matter.
But I think that would be the super fight.
Yes, and it would be an awful fight.
Oh, Jesus, it'd be. Well, no. I think to his credit, Haney would make a fight of it.
We'd have to, wouldn't he? I think what's going to happen is we're going to underrate Stevenson after this fight, and I think we'll all get back on the bandwagon.
Well, I do think he definitely had a sore hand or a sore arm, and he just wouldn't admit it.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what it was, and it's Stevenson is one of those guys who, because he is so good, and because of his style, he needs to be in deep every single time.
Yeah,
like that's what he needs. He needs to be. He needs to have like a Navarrete opposite him, who was.
Like Navarrete would be the perfect opponent for him.
Or like someone really aggressive, or just like a tank or something like that. And even then, I don't think the tank fight would be so exciting. But I think Stevenson, for as good as he is, needs the other guy to bring the jeopardy.
Oh, absolutely. Because Stevenson said he wasn't coming, and he didn't realize. Well, you weren't going either. Well,
that's it. It's on you. And I think again, if you are the the special talent that we all think Shakur is, you do need to be able to flip that switch. You go, he's not coming to me. I'm going to have to go to him, and he didn't do it.
Because people often reference, and I'm one of them because it's what I saw in him a lot of Floyd Mayweather. But Floyd, especially in his younger pretty boy days, he had an immense attack. Like his attack was vicious. But he was very skilled in defense. Now, as time went on, he realized, well, I can win this fight on defense, and he just started doing that. Whereas at the start, when he was going up and beginning to win the world titles, challenging, Oscar De La Hoya and the others, he was a more attacking boxer.
Well, one of the biggest beatdowns I've ever seen in my entire life was Floyd versus my favorite fighter, Gatti.
Oh yeah, but that was always a mismatch. Like
But the thing is, the difference is, I think in these sorts of fights, Stevenson is generally in these kind of I don't think Dos Santos Stevenson is as wide as that, but that is a mismatch in terms of skill. And then
but the difference between Floyd and Stevenson is Floyd will seek and destroy, whereas Stevenson is happy to wait.
Well, Floyd didn't at the end, and I think this is the thing.
No, but that's what I meant at the start. I mean, when he fought Gatti, it wasn't the end. It was at that point. It was only after he'd won everything he just kind of phoned it in, as the fella says.
Well, I think it was the size thing. I think at one point, once he got up to 147, they were a bit bigger, and he was like, "Well, I can't knock them out anyway.
Yeah,
So
well,
what's the
that's true
point?"
too.
But again, we're looking at like Stevenson's jumped through 2 weight classes already, and in fairness to Stevenson, he's done a unified at super feather. But you're already 2 weight classes up, and he was never a massive puncher before. So
Yeah.
how quickly? And they're all talking about him going to 140 or 147, and you go, they're jumping up so fast, and
Yeah,
body's not.
but I don't mind that talk because the same talk wants to put, Inoue in with who is it they wanted Inoue in with?
Tank.
Tank Davies. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
so don't mind that talk. It's nonsense.
So we'll see how that is. But yeah, it was. I think we're going to underrate Stevenson into his next fight, but it was a stinker, and he's got to figure out what he is in
Yeah,
terms
exactly. But I mean, if he was injured, and then I can just write it off as an injury. You know what I mean?
of.
I'm willing to just
Like
chalk
the
it off.
warning signs that Stevenson will be in some stinkers are there. In the same way, I think if someone will talk about later, the warning signs are if he's not in with the right person, the warning signs are there. Someone's got to bring the jeopardy for Stevenson.
Oh, absolutely,
which is fine.
But that's the problem with defensive counterpunchers. They need an attacker, otherwise their plan doesn't work because you can't counterpunch a counterpunch.
No, that's exactly it. And God, they can be dreadful when that happens. But on the undercard, and we've mentioned his name already, it was Emmanuel Navarrete, one of your favorite fighters, versus Conceição, a Brazilian Olympic gold medalist. This did Stevenson no favors.
No, because it was such an exciting fight. Now, I only got the second half of it live because I woke up and it was halfway through. So I couldn't say whether the draw was fair or not. But from what I saw, I thought Conceição edged the end of it. Now, obviously, if Navarrete took the start, then draw is perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I watched the whole fight, but I knew the result, and I was like, I'm not bothering to score this if I already know the result because I'm kind of been swayed one way or another.
Yeah.
I've always thought Conceição was pretty decent. I thought he beat Valdez when those two fought, but again, I didn't think Navarrete looked bad either. It wasn't.
No, he didn't. No, it was a good fight. Like, it was an enjoyable fight.
Think he underperformed. I just thought Conceição was a very good.
Yeah, like you said, people were underrating Conceição.
Yeah,
and Navarrete, like previously, he was underrated, and then he got his flowers in the last match. You know, I mean, boxing's very fickle. You know,
we are fickle creatures.
You know,
again,
riding high in what is it? January, shot down in May. Isn't that the song? That's live.
Riding high in April and shot down
April, in May. Yeah, obviously January to May is a bit too wide. Yeah. And boxing will be riding high in April Fool's Day, shot down on the 2nd of April.
Yeah, that's very much boxing, isn't it? I think another thing is Navarrete that's his 3rd weight class. Again, he's another one who's jumped up massively in weight, and then they're talking about sticking him in with Shakur for his 4th weight class. So you are going to find that if you start fighting these
he would be a great opponent for Shakur.
Again, so I totally agree with you, and I think that's actually what they're kind of going for. They're like,
because Navarrete will attack, and he has these surprise attacks. You know,
the such awkward punches, and I love his lead uppercut. The lead uppercut's it's a mental shot.
It's brilliant, you know. So, and to see how Stevenson deals with a very unorthodox boxer, because Steven seems to do, boxing by numbers excellently. But if there's a spanner thrown in the works, how does Stevenson react? That's why I like to see Stevenson Navarrete. I wouldn't mind that fight one bit.
Not at all. I would. Again, we want to see Stevenson in with this because you've now got a couple of questions about him. You now go, right, can he carry a fight himself? And he didn't pass that test.
But I think maybe in a way, sometimes it's good to have that question because otherwise, this just kind of heir to the throne apparent, this kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of? This coronation.
Perennial son or something. What was it?
No, but just this kind of, just a coronation rather than, a fighting for anything, him just being assumed to be the next, the incumbent, brilliant guy. So sometimes he needs a bad fight to kind of you know,
kick up the arse, basically.
That's it in Irish and Scottish terms. A kick up the arse is what he needs.
Yes, that's what he needs, is a boot up the arse. But I still think Stevenson's going to be one of the best of the lots. There are talks there might be a little bit chinny, and that'll be very interesting to see what happens.
But I mean, the higher he goes, the more we'll find out.
Absolutely, but I didn't score it. I didn't dislike the result kind of either way. I thought it was both brilliant fights, and it's good because I think it means that Conceição will get another chance, and we get to see Navarrete again.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'd like that rematch. I'd like it a lot.
I would like that a lot as well, and then I would like to see who else have we kind of got at that weight class, because we've got Lopez.
Well, you've got in all the way in from the United Kingdom, Michael's best friend, Joe Cordina.
You've got Joe Cordina, absolutely. And Joe wants the big fights. And I think Joe is, by all accounts, he might be getting Jordan Gill. That's the talk that you kind of hear. But I think they want the big fights for Joe Cordina at this point, because that's the one he wants, and he's not really interested.
I'm not sure they do, because they seem to be kind of skirting around.
Well, I think it's a case of Cordina wants the fights, and I think...
Oh, yeah, Cordina wants the fights, but Eddie Hearn just doesn't trust him enough.
Or he can't make it. I think this is another thing. It's not just sometimes...
No, I don't think it's a case of can't make it. I think it's a case of he's just protecting his assets, as well.
It'll be very
That's only my opinion, of course. I'm not saying that's the definitive. I'm just, you know...
Because they've lost Foster. Foster's gone over to top rank. So actually, there's a fight for Navarrete or Shaki Foster.
That would be a good fight. Actually, who's the Shaki Foster up next? I saw his name there somewhere.
They just announced it in February, and I can't remember who it was.
I'll just have a look while you're
monologuing.
Yes, you monologue away there.
So yeah, I really liked it. There's tons of fights, and then it'll be interesting to see what Wood does when he comes up. By all accounts, it's the Warrington rematch is the one they're going for.
Oh yeah, that would make the most money.
And and then they're going to step up to 130 for that, and then the winner will be in line for a shot versus Cordina. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of happens there. We've got a little picture from Luke. Luke will be joining us shortly, guys, so don't worry about that.
It's Abraham Nova he's fighting.
Okay.
23-1.
I can't say I know much about him.
No, I don't know either, but his rating is quite high in BoxRec, so...
Unfortunately, BoxRec's ratings tell me nothing.
Well, that's true, too. He lost to Ribesi Ramirez.
Who lost at the weekend. Have you seen that? Did you watch Ribesi's fight?
Would you believe? No, I didn't, because I was watching the other fight.
Because I didn't realise, it just totally passed me by that Ribesi was fighting. It was
I actually saw the highlights of it, and in fairness, had he not got knocked down in the 12th round, he would have won.
Right, okay. So
it was a close fight. I mean, he would have won on the cards, you know. Like mathematically, he would have won.
Yes, he would have won on the cards, not for the knockdown. Yeah. So I'd like to see that rematch, though. I'll go watch the fight, but I expect if it's that close, I'd like to see the rematch.
Oh yeah, no, that's another fight that's teed up for a rematch, and that's all good in my book. Especially because I didn't see that one live, because I was watching the other one. I was actually doing the watch along for Joel.
Excellent. Shout out Boxing Media Hub, isn't it?
Yes.
Correct.
I mean, Joel does great interviews.
Yeah, Joe's fantastic, and I mean, if you watch this, you'll have seen Joe's stuff as well. He's always very good. But moving on from that, we've mentioned his name. Let's talk about Joe Cordina versus Vasquez. A harder night's work than I think a lot of people were expecting. Yes.
I didn't paint him in a great light either. You know what I mean? I think he was supposed to, this was an easy job in Monaco. Monaco, no, I was right the first time. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right the first time, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was all very black tie affair. Maybe he didn't take it seriously enough, which often happens.
The Monaco fights are always they always throw up interesting performances because by all accounts it's a very unique atmosphere.
Yeah, but it's almost like a kind of a play or a performance rather than a boxing match. So,
well, I think certainly for Cordina, ultimately, not his best performance, but he's now been in two great fights back this year. On top of his Agawa knockout. I think that's like he's really set himself up as someone it's really good to watch.
I wonder where that Ngawe knockout power is gone.
I know that we don't agree on this method. I always find with guys that punch as fast as Cordina, they don't necessarily punch that hard, but They'll get the odd spectacular knockout.
I mean, it's not as if a clubmate of his, popped.
No. Or other ones have had a year out the ring. Actually, speaking of clubmates of that, did you see Richards has gone to the McGuigan's gym?
I heard it, but I didn't, but I mean, this has been a quiet year for McGuigan, aside of Carlin Dubois. Last year he was our trainer of the year. I don't even think he's in the mix this year.
Well, I mean, this year he's had Ellie Scotney and Chris Billam-Smith have both won world titles.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I forgot the Chris Billam-Smith thing there. No. Oh, he's brilliant. Oh, they're all great. And Chris Billam-Smith is the pound king.
There we go.
That's the correct answer.
That's the correct answer. The correct answer. Yeah, I think it's Caroline's done well. Adam Azim has won the European title.
Yeah, Adam Azim is beginning to annoy me in so many ways.
Why is that?
Because he's a cocky little shite.
Aren't they all?
No, he's extra cocky. Like, you're beating a young journeyman. Stop pretending you're the king of the world.
Are you thinking of Ben Whittaker?
Yes, I am. Sorry. I've had a senior moment.
The second you said it, I was like, I don't think Adam is.
I often do that. I mix up fighters, and I don't know why. It's like Devin Haney and Gervonta Davies. I always mix up. And Lawrence Sicoli and
Reactpour. Reactpour.
Yeah, I mixed those up as well.
But yeah, Haney and Tank are so different. It's very funny.
No, but it's just because when you're introduced to two people around the same time.
Yeah, your brain just connects them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can't unseparate them.
Yeah, young American lightweights. That's what it is. But I reckon with Cordina, you stick him in with any of the other champions at this point because.
Well, he really needs to at this point. Like, he needs to fight, and I would have liked if he fought Navarrete.
That's another that the Navarrete and Foster fights are gone now that he's with Top Rank. So you then go, who else can they get? Hector Garcia lost.
Yeah.
So the WBA champ lost. So you're then going, right, who can we kind of get that's a decent fight? Which is why
he's going to get.
Gil.
He's going to get the fighter Lee Wood or Josh Warrington.
Well, he'll fight the winner of that, but he's got to fight before because I think, by all accounts,
maybe he could beat up Michael Conlon or something.
I think Conlon's done, isn't he? So, well, let's move on to that. So,
has Conlon actually retired though? He hasn't. Only Tyrone McKenna retired.
I don't think he's announced his retirement, but it'll be very hard to come back from that. But you were obviously there live and in person. What was it?
Yes, like? in my cheap seats that had such a great view. I don't know how 40-pound seats are better than 60-pound seats. Hi, Marty, sorry, not Marty, he wasn't there. Hi, Stephen. But, if you can see me from off back there, but sometimes it pays to be a loner. That's all I'm saying. Friendless loser. But or maybe coming in early and then getting the best seat in the replacements. But Belfast was decent enough. I mean, the fight of the night probably was Quivine Aguero against
Agiaco versus Williamson.
Yes, it was very evenly matched. It didn't take fire, but it was the most competitive fight of the night. Put it that way.
It was a good fight
because everything else was a one-sided beatdown.
Because it was Crocker.
Or Crocker, against
McKenna.
Against McKenna. But that was always sticking out that was going to happen because Crocker's going to be the next Northern Ireland world champion.
Do you reckon? He's trained by Billy Nelson because there's quite a lot of people talking around him around Glasgow as well.
So, I mean, I would like to see it. I mean, it was interesting to see the divide in the crowd, and Crocker's crowd came, Crocker fought, Crocker's crowd left, and I wouldn't blame them either.
Well, that's it. What did you think of the main event? Jordan Gill. I don't know anyone that picked Gill in this fight. My view of this was that
I thought Joel picked Gill.
Maybe.
I think he did because I know Joel knows Jordan Gill, but I'm not saying that's why. But
I'm saying
I was even leaning. I said if Gill had more power, he'd win, and I said both would be knocked down. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gill just dominated that fight.
He was brilliant. I thought,
and I'm so delighted for him. I really,
he's such
really
a nice
am.
guy.
You know, good guys deserve it. You know, it's like Chris Billum-Smith. Sometimes the good guys actually do win, and it's a good thing to see. Not saying Michael Conlan's a bad guy, but he's certainly not a good guy. You know, he's too much belief in his own perceived ability. You know,
So
he's a good boxer, but Jesus, you can't punch and you've no fucking chin. Don't get involved in wars.
With Conlan, so we've again discussed this before. People have always said if Mick Conlan just sticks to boxing and moving, right? I've never seen, but he can't do it. I've never seen. I never saw Michael do it. I think I loved Michael as an amateur. I thought he was brilliant, but
but I mean,
I've never saw him.
We're looking at very similar, except actually, he performed at a much higher level. Yeah, Gill was superb. Gill was the fighter of the night. Now that, you know, the fight of the night was Aguero. Why am I calling him Aguero? And I was going to say Kelleher then, but
yep. The Liverpool goalkeeper
since half three. But no, that was the fight of the night. But the fighter of the night most certain. Well, actually, Crocker could claim it either, but no, I'd give it to Gill because he had the dominant performance and he got him out of there, whereas Crocker couldn't get McKenna out of there. And
Gill was a massive underdog in that fight. That's the big thing.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if someone actually put money on it and won, but didn't tell anyone because, you know, he likes his kneecaps. But I'd never bet against a home fighter.
Certainly not like that. But one of the things I found interesting was the first knockdown is one of my favorite punches because it's the straight left hand that comes off a right. So what happens is when you throw that there, you're then able to basically twist your shoulder into it, and it's a straight left from like a neutral stance. And it's such an effective punch because you've closed the gap so well.
But if Conlan is as good as he should be, he shouldn't be there for that punch.
No, but the thing with Mick is that when you watch it back, obviously again, I don't think I watched this live. I think I watched it back after seeing the results. I think we were out. Mick as a southpaw holds both hand lows. When he's in orthodox stance, if you look, his front glove sits in front of his thigh, slightly inwards. Okay, and what this does is it takes his shoulder here. So if you've got a low hand, if you tuck your chin down, it's better because that then is at least a block in the same way that this is a shoulder roll and you can block the chin there. Yeah. If you look at the way Mick fights as a southpaw, he actually holds his glove on the outside of his right leg. So what happens is when Gill throws that right hand, he's got this perfectly framed corridor for that left hand to go straight down the pipe. Now, most people don't have that punch, but Jordan was just utterly fantastic. And Mick people say he kind of came back into the fight, but that was out of panic more than anything else.
But did he come back into the fight? I mean,
I think he wasn't getting.
I think Gill probably had a round off because he was tired. But I mean, like, I don't think Mick actually really came back into the fight because it looked like Gill could, you know, had the potential to stop it at any time. I'm not saying, you know, he chose when to stop it, but that potential was always there. The next punch could end the fight.
It was Conlan was really doing his best to stick in there, and it was just eventually wore him down. But I mean, it's great after everything's Jordan been through. After the Kiko Martinez fight, the story at the end could make you cry. I always remember when when Sky were starting to do the kind of like, let's go a bit more local, and they went to Peterborough, and he got horrendous. I think he had food poisoning or something. He was really sick, and he basically couldn't stand. And every time the guy touched him to the body, he went down. And Jordan's just such a really, really likable fighter.
And I have to say as well, and I know I give out about football clubs and football fans, but Jordan, I presume it is Peterborough. I don't know why I'm mixing
Peterborough, yeah.
I'm mixing it up with what's the other, Plymouth, or I don't know, but it's not. It's Peterborough. What's their nicknames again?
The Posh.
Yeah, the Posh. That's it. Like, Jesus, he got such, you know, support from the football base because I know he is a big Peterborough fan.
It's like, a genuine thing, isn't it?
Yeah, genuinely, not this kind of just ghosted freaking matches, and Eddie Hearn will be there.
It's like Heaney. Like Nathan Heaney's a proper.
Oh, Nathan Heaney. Oh my God. I mean, I hate Stoke. I really hate Stoke, but I love Nathan Heaney.
You can tell you're an Arsenal fan.
Oh yeah.
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 Years of trauma from Stoke away.
Yeah. Years of wasted, huge talent just wasted by the thuggery of Stoke Football Club and the ineptitude of the PGMOL, who kind of felt Wenger was a bit too big for his boots, and they don't like it up in them Johnny foreigners.
And but the Heat. So very briefly, we'll touch on Nathan Heaney beating. What I'm going to say, Tyler Denny. It wasn't. Who did Heaney beat?
Begins with B, does it?
Denzel Bentley. Sorry.
Yes, there it is. Denzel Bentley.
Denzel Bentley. There we go. It was just such a fantastic fight.
Yeah, I was wondering if Bet365 were going to go into administration the next day, because I'm sure everyone in Stoke had the money on it.
Absolutely hammered them, but we listened to the George Grove Boxing Club, shout out the George Grove's Boxing Club podcast, and it was just absolutely brilliant. Like his emotion in the whole thing was absolutely
and it's not contrived like often you see.
No, it's genuine.
You know when it's contrived for these one-on-one stuff and all this blah blah blah, and very Sky Sports and very Matchroom. But Jesus, Nathan Heaney is pure genuine. I remember seeing the whole way back. What's the regional one for Stoke? I suppose it's the Midland Central, is it?
Yeah, Central Area title.
No, I mean the BBC channel, when it went to the local area and they were talking about this guy in the small halls and the crowd, Delilah, and I watched it and went, Jesus, that's brilliant. But
I certainly didn't.
And I mean, let's face it, Frank Warren only got him to fill out his shows.
Of course he did. We sell tickets. Hold on a minute, ladies and gentlemen.
Now he's won a British title.
We have our
Hi guys.
Hello. Are you small or far away?
Huh?
Are you small or far away?
I'm small.
Well, you're smaller than Stephen's son anyway.
Height-wise, at least.
Absolutely. Stephen's got a hell of a voice, big boy. But I think it's the angle of the phone. And again, to kind of go back to Conlon and Gill, yeah, I think that's the big thing, is I think Mick was in a war with Wood that I think he never fully recovered from. I think the Lopez fight, Lopez is a proper puncher as well. There we go. And I think the Gill fight was one too far. And I think Jordan, whilst not having a great deal of knockout power, he punches technically so well that they're always solid.
Yeah. See, I think that was the whole thing. Oh, well, Jordan Gill can't knock him out, can't stop him. But he fucking did.
Can I just say
yes,
one thing on that fight?
Yeah.
And if there's a rematch, I hope you listen to this and prove me right. If Conlon would have just stayed orthodox, he'd have pissed it.
Yeah, but Conlon has no discipline. If Conlon just box and move, he would have won. But he thinks
he's got no defense as a southpaw.
Right.
And Gill was perfectly prepared with that jab. After the right hand.
I believe Adam's actually gone through all of that.
Yeah. So did you see it? So I was saying, when you watch Conlon stand in an orthodox stance, the lead hand, the glove sits on the inside of the thigh. So the shoulder comes in and protects the chin. When he stands southpaw, the lead hand sits on the outside of the thigh. And when Jordan threw the right hand to come with the straight left down the middle, it's like this perfect little window for it to go down.
Yeah.
And it was just, again, two major upsets.
I have a big issue with fighters who aren't very good evasively at having their gloves down. Like, if you can't move your body out of the way, don't have your freaking gloves around your knees.
I think he can do it for a bit. And again, it's all to do with...
No, but he can't do it for enough. We've seen it enough times. He gets caught so easily.
Like I say, if he just stayed orthodox, he'd have been fine.
Yeah, if he just jab and move, you'd win the points.
If he literally, but not even jabbing and moving. If he could have fought Jordan Gill as an orthodox fighter, he's much more defensively responsible inside, better combinations on the inside as well. I thought overall, Gil looked very strong at the weight.
He did, actually. Genuinely, I've
like seeing
nothing but
him.
praise for Jordan Gill from that night.
Oh yeah, like seeing him in person. He's definitely a strong super feather.
Like, of all the fighters that exceeded expectations that night, well, Jordan Gill was the only one that exceeded expectations, because even McCrory, didn't really, because that was expected,
McComb.
No.
Or Crocker.
Crocker, sorry, Jesus, I'm getting all the names mixed
I thought you were throwing back to Glenn McCrory from the 90s.
No, it's because I got up at 3:30 this morning and I haven't been to bed since. But
yeah, look, it was a good fight. Gill did what he came in, it was seek and destroy, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, no, Gill was it was brilliant and fair play.
What frustrated me was not being able to hear what the corners were saying, for number one, because myself and my dad and my friend were saying, look, if he just stays orthodox, he'll be fine. Just literally stay orthodox. And what did he do?
How could you not hear them?
I know.
Was the crowd too loud?
It was a bit too loud.
Or was it all that dance music from the 1980s or 90s that they decided? Like the 1990s or 30 years ago. Get a new CD, SSE Arena.
I don't know, I like the vibes. But yeah, I don't know if Pedro Diaz was telling him to stop going southpaw, because that was when all his problems occurred. And then even in the 7th, when he got stopped, he was in southpaw when he got clocked and hurt. He immediately switched back to orthodox just out of instinct, but he didn't have the wherewithal to protect himself. And I thought it was a good stoppage. I thought Howard Foster, fair play to him. It wasn't controversial. He got in at the right time.
Oh, God, no.
And it was a fine stoppage.
Once that first knockdown goes in, Conlan's never back in that fight. We were saying earlier, it's panic that keeps him in that fight, because he's busy for 3 rounds, he's throwing punches, but he can't keep that pace up. And again, we've never seen Mick do what everyone says he needs to do, but I've never seen it happen. And if I've never seen it, until I see it happen, like at a level below Gill, I remember watching him. There was a fight he did in one of the lockdown shows where he was, I think it was the one where he basically nearly gets disqualified for constantly throwing low blows. And the corner are like, just stick behind the fucking jab, and he can't do it.
That's his problem. He can't take orders. He's not disciplined.
Yeah. It's like a very
Caldwell, that was his former coach, wasn't it?
Former coach.
Yeah. No, Dave Caldwell told him not to freaking get in a war with
Martinez.
Yeah, and he did. So, I mean, why was changing coach going to make a difference if you don't listen to the damn coach?
Wait, no, it was Booth who coached.
Sorry, I thought you were talking
about Gill. Sorry, Adam Booth. Yes, it was. But the point was, Adam did say in the interview, he told him not to fight, to stick and box. So why was changing coaches going to make a difference? That's why that was in my head. If he doesn't listen to his coach, it doesn't matter if freaking Bert Sugar comes back from the dead and coaches him, because he won't bloody listen.
Let's love it. What were you going to say, Luke?
Listen, Linda, as the thing goes.
Like I say, I mean, this is not in any way an insult to Amir Khan, because Amir Khan is a lot better boxer than Mick Conlan.
Absolutely.
But he has the same discipline issues. Like, we talk about Khan of what could have been, as much as he achieved, we still talk about that, like what could have been with him. And I think it'll be the same with Michael, like whether he does go on or not. I think we'll always be saying, geez, what could have been with him if he could have been more disciplined inside the ring? He does everything right outside of it.
The number one thing about boxing is discipline.
And it's all right being disciplined outside and eating all the right foods and doing all the training, but it's on the night.
No,
you have to be able.
You know what I mean? You must be like, you can't let your impulse dictate the fight. You must stick to your game plan.
Yeah.
You can't get a rush of blood to the head, because then you lose. And Mick's done that.
I just I don't know where he goes from here. What I do know is what I'll do with him is do what Mick did to Rocky in Rocky 2. Tie the hand up and have him only using his left hand, just to jab with. get him used to orthodox and stay that way, because he's southpaw. He needs to forget about it if he's going to carry on fighting.
I really
Has he
don't
got
think he
Has
should.
he got the feet to do that?
I think so. I think he showed it, especially as an amateur
I
as
think
well.
the best thing
He's got
Michael
very good
Stewart
silky
can do-
footwork.
But he
I-
hasn't done that. He hasn't done that circumspect cerebral on the outside of the ring. I haven't seen it for 7 years.
Like, I think, with the switch hitting,
Mhm.
I don't mind when it's a switch to escape an angle or a situation.
Yeah,
And
step
then-
out into there and go.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. But I just think when he stands and trades in southpaw, as you said, with his lead hand position, it's just not there. And when you watch Gill warm up before on the pads, they were doing that 1-2-1 combination,
Mhm.
and it just worked a treat. But look, I'm kind of talking about Conlon here. I should be talking about Gill. Like, what an amazing
Yeah, but I
performance
mean-
from him.
Why we're talking about Conlon is because Conlon
He should have won.
he
should
like,
have been.
he's the story because he didn't perform. He didn't achieve what was expected of him.
You could
And
argue
with Gill
Gill
now,
is the- because
like,
Sorry?
what do you do with
overperformed.
Gill now? Do you chuck Gill in with a Navarrete if Wood
No,
and
not
Warrington are fighting
Navarrete.
each other? Do you,
Cordina.
like,
Cordina
showed him
is
the
a good
Cordina?
shout. I
Yeah,
think
that's-
Cordina is a
that's-
very good shout.
That's the fight for them.
The
to make
in-house
them-
fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so for Jordan, it's the world title fight against Cordina because you got basically Cordina's got nowhere to go because, like we were saying earlier, Navarrete's is with Top Rank and either has basically Foster or his rematch with Conseil Sao. The PBC Hector Garcia lost, so he's no longer an option. But the PBC have their title, and you can assume that they'll just kind of continue on that one. So for Gill, it'll be Cordina. And then they'll fight what looks like the winner of Wood versus Warrington.
Yeah, I
where
mean, it's a great mix of that way, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a fabulous
domestically,
thing.
it's not bad. So why not do that?
Yeah.
Do it regularly. Get them fighting more, which is what we want. But we're going to go south now from Belfast. We're going to go down to Dublin. Now, believe it or not, look, were you at this one as well?
I was, yeah.
And
How
were
was
you
this one?
closer than you were in Belfast?
No, I was closer in Belfast.
Oh, were you? Oh, I thought you were.
I was very
How's the-
close in Dublin, but I was like in Belfast. I was only 6 rows from ringside.
Oh, where were you in Dublin?
I was in section A, which is just above the floor,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you're not
I
too far
actually
away from the
prefer
ring.
that. I prefer looking down, seeing. It's like
I'd
rugby.
say, if we're talking distance, I'd say I was about 50 feet away.
Well, there's no bad seat
Dublin.
in the 3 Arena in Dublin.
No,
anyway,
it's very good, to be fair. But
How's-
yeah, I was delighted with my seats. Absolutely delighted.
Except for Stephen's seat, there's no bad seat in the SSC Arena.
The SSE is a lovely arena. I really liked how intimate it was for the amount that was in there.
How's the mortgage for the tickets?
Oh, sure, look. We'll speak about that another day.
Right.
For Belfast, sure, Belfast tickets weren't dear.
I
The
know
Dublin
the
tickets
Taylor,
were expensive.
yeah,
then, eh?
the Taylor ones will have been, but very
Taylor
quickly
ones
on the
weren't too
undercard.
cheap, but I tell you what, it was the best atmosphere I've ever experienced. Bar none.
No, you didn't.
Do you reckon?
No, you didn't.
Like,
Stephen,
even-
stop being jealous. You
I'd
sit
say-
with 7 friends and fucking come late and find seats that aren't up at the back.
I'd say the best before that was Cam v Brook in a packed out MEN.
Mhm.
That was something else. Now, to be honest, you could cut the tension in there with a knife. But
Do you want to know my
the
best
way-
friend?
go on,
Well, you know the answer.
yeah, but say it.
Hatton Mayweather in the MGM Arena.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Bouncing him off the ring post and watching all those Brits just.
But yeah, the way the crowd got behind Katie was something else.
Oh, that was
Um,
wonderful, and she deserved that. And Cameron was great. She was a great
Yeah.
foil, and she never
Oh,
gave.
absolutely. She played into the part, so she did.
Oh yeah, she
Um,
was perfectly happy to play the foil. Like she wasn't she wasn't evil, but she was playing the foil. Like
She was the bad guy in it, yeah.
No, but she was. The
Now I
face
thought
outside.
the card as a whole, like I was there from doors open.
Oh, she were.
You
They were
know,
holding the bucket
like
for the
Emmett
first time.
Brennan. Emmett Brennan really impressed me.
Oh, yeah.
His second fight, the way he was able to just push the pace and be calm through 8 rounds, knew what was going to happen, it seemed like just a matter of time.
I bet it was,
Oh
Stephen.
wow,
I bet
I'd
it
say
was.
so. I'd say that was class. Yeah, no, I think Emma Brennan, he's going to go back down to super middle. This was just a quick jump up just to get the belt and kind of get the
Oh,
exposure, I
yeah.
suppose. But yeah, look, the way he
Was
just
it the
chipped
Celtic
away.
belt, yeah?
Sorry?
Was it the Celtic belt?
Yeah, it was just a Celtic title, yeah.
Yeah, because Celtic is below Irish.
That's right, yeah. It'd be
Yeah.
like a Southern area title in terms of level.
Well, it's kind of like the European one. It's kind of, it appears like it's above Commonwealth and British, but it's not really. It's kind of like to decide.
Well, even then, like, if you're on about mass, Commonwealth should be better than a British title, but it isn't.
No, Commonwealth is the one when you can't win the British, you go off and win the Commonwealth against some randomer from Rwanda.
But yeah,
that Pretty Patel or the other evil woman, Suella Braverman, was sent there.
But yeah, Brennan really impressed me. I think at super middleweight he can be a force. He's 32. He's not old, but he's not young either.
No, but unlike Clark, he's just shown so much more.
But he can move quick as well. And we've spoke about this. We've hit on this already ourselves, talking amongst ourselves. Journeymen only do so much for you when you know how to box.
Oh yeah, like he should be moved on quickly, and I think he will.
He will. Well, 8-rounder in his second fight.
There's a void for a male Irish fighter there, especially in the Republic. You know what I mean?
Well, this is what saddened me was you have arguably Ireland's best professional boxer male in Joe Ward fighting in a leisure centre in Letterkenny the week before. He should have been on this card. Do you know, like
who's Joe?
I think he's still with DeBella.
But that show was promoted by
that was Jason Quigley.
Yeah, because I was telling Jason, I was calling him Bob Arum, and he was all delighted about it. Jason's a really good guy.
He is. But I'm not dissing that. But what I'm saying is, like, Joe is at this. Joe should be banging on the doors at fringe world title contenders.
Yeah, but Joe's just had a checkered career.
Yeah, but he's good enough, and I felt sad that he wasn't on that card.
He has to prove it, You can't just take people's word for it. He has to do it on the night, and he hasn't always done it in the professional ring.
Well, his only loss was an injury.
No, but even his performances weren't captivating, When you're starting out, you really got to grab the narrative, otherwise you'll get lost. There's a million.
You do, and it's a shame because you look at Brennan then, this is what the point I'm getting to now is you look at Brennan, who might not have as much ability or skill as Joe Ward, but he's took this opportunity with both hands. Now, it helps that Darren Barker is his manager. That's a great coup.
Yeah, Darren for Brennan. Kazagi and Barker together.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a fantastic move by Brennan, very intelligent, gets himself onto the zone in his second fight, really smart. And I think,
doors for him.
Absolutely. And he'll take the shots because he's 32. He's not going to want to hang about, like I say.
Oh no, he's not there to fighters, as they say.
I think he's got the ability to as well. So he really impressed me. Thomas Carty, I don't know what happened to him.
I think Thomas Carty should just fight Johnny Fisher and get it over with, and maybe the loser could fight what's his name, that Scottish rugby player guy.
Oh, Nick Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell, who was beaten by that other
Jay
Scottish
McFarlane.
Yeah.
Nick beat Jay. I think did Nick not lose to McCarthy?
Jay McCarthy got knocked out by Carty. That's a bit of a mouthful.
It's all very confusing. What did you think of Paddy Donovan?
I think he looks sublime. Really impressed with him.
Sorry.
Fire ahead. No, fire ahead.
I just think this is a guy that I think is being a bit overrated, overblown for what he's achieving against his opponents. This stuff about being Ireland's next world champion, hold your horses. Win a decent title first. It's a long way from where he is to world titledom.
I think it's good to get excited though. And I think it's how
maybe I'm just too cynical, and I just hear
I think getting
heard this so many times before.
Enda, you're not cynical.
Not at all.
But and anyway, I suppose have a little bugbear how the biased commentary went mad on the poor Kieran, what's his name from Galway, who beat him in the
Malloy.
Kieran Malloy. And I saw Kieran Malloy fight in the pros, and I'd love to see Kieran Malloy against.
That's a great scrap. I'd love to see it. But with,
Like
with Donovan, you know, that win against Ball was a solid win. Do you know?
Oh, it was. The ball win was solid.
And he didn't just do it. He didn't struggle through it. He did it in style. And you know, seeing him in his seeing him in person, the way he moves, the way he sees shots, and he's confident. He's confident enough to stay in the pocket and just make you miss as well, which could be a big downfall when he steps up in level. But at the moment, it's very exciting. And I think if I'm going off the top of my head now, I think he'd be around British title level at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's what I think too. I definitely think he can achieve a British title.
And to be there within 12 fights is not a mean feat at all. Like, it's a very, very good achievement.
Harry Scarf, that he's the British champion. I would say I would pick Paddy over Harry Scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
and I think to be fair, you look at the likes of Essuman, am I saying that right?
Yeah, Echo Essuman, yep.
Yeah. Who else have we got? The guy that Michael likes. The fella he wants to fight Conor Ben. Begins with E. What's his name? Oh no. Who fought Essuman? The two of them fought one another. What's his name?
Who fought Echo Essuman? Well, Harry Scarf beat Essuman.
No, but there was a grudge match. Was it not Essuman and someone else fought? Am I thinking of something wrong?
I can't remember.
There's another person. There's definitely another lad. I can't remember his name. But yeah, I think Paddy'd be ready for any of them lads. Do you know
what it is? And I think it's a case of like there's a mix here with this. I think World Title Talk is a lot of pressure, but I think certainly what a lot of the UK and Ireland needs is the big stars at the top are on the way out.
Yeah.
And it's good to get excited about somebody, even if what happens is he goes so far along the road and then he loses to somebody. Because what happens is you then go, oh shit, well, we thought he was the next big thing. It's not just about winning at this stage. It's about how do you win. And he was brilliant.
And the good thing too about getting excited about these lads, and Enda might disagree, is say for example the whole of Ireland gets excited about Paddy Donovan, and all of a sudden there's 5 or 6 nights in Limerick, Dublin, wherever, and then he loses and gets knocked out. There's still been 5 or 6 great nights in Ireland.
That was the other thing.
You know what I mean?
He started going on about filling Thomond Park. Andy Lee, world champion, couldn't fill the Thomond Park against eats too much food, got smacked by Canelo.
Billy Joe Saunders.
Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, Jesus, if they couldn't sell that, and then it went off to a leisure centre in Manchester where Billy Joe took the title off him. So if Andy Lee, Olympian and really celebrated guy in Ireland, couldn't fill Thomond Park, Donovan, nobody outside the boxing world knows, couldn't.
I think with the social media age, though, and if the right people get behind him, if people get excited, I think it's a very positive thing.
Maybe if he fights, what's his face, that Fury guy, maybe then.
Tommy.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
But yeah, no, look, I really rate Donovan, and I think it's fella who should be joining.
That this notion that he'd filled Thomond Park is nonsensical, given that.
And this might be a bold shout here. Just going on to the next fight in the cards
for posterity. Go on.
I think the next man who fought that night, Gary Cully, should move up to welterweight. I think he needs to work on putting on about 12 pounds of good lean muscle onto his legs and onto his torso, and getting up to welterweight, being solid, being strong. And I think he could be a force at welterweight. I genuinely do. If he moves up and he carries the chin up and has strong legs, I think he could be very good.
I'll just segue in there when you're talking about moving up and more weight. One person that had bulked up and got his man strength is Xander Zayas. Oh my good Lord. It's like he's all his wonderful skill and now he's got this power. It's brilliant. I mean, wait till he fully becomes a man, because he's still a young, chap.
Was he 23?
I don't think he's that old. I think he's 20.
very quickly while somebody looks that up.
Yeah.
Back to the Paddy Donovan thing about there. I think the difference is Andy fought most of it in the States. He was very much stateside. If Paddy fights regularly in Ireland, you build it in the same way that you built up Wood, or you build it in the same way you build up Heaney, and you build it in the same way there. Is he fights regularly, starts the headline smaller, medium, and then eventually that's how you get there. It's not but we'll go there next week.
Yeah, Xander's ace is 21. He just turned 21, so 20 was
he's a baby.
Like, I think Andy Lee's a legend.
17, sorry.
But I don't think the Irish public knew who Andy Lee was.
No, because he was in America.
You know, I think he was an Olympian. They know more about him than they do about. More people know Andy Lee in Ireland than know Paddy Donovan. That's just fact.
Yeah. For now. That's the
I mean, he was a 2004 Olympian. It's a long time ago.
He was the only Olympian in Sydney.
2004 is Athens.
Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't. Yeah, he fought in Athens. Who fought in Sydney again? Was that Griffin?
Jeez, you know what? I don't know.
He'd have been like, how old were you in the year 2000?
Were you born?
In the summer of 2000, I was 3.
Yeah, there you
go. Fucking Jesus.
Right.
You're younger than my nephew. Oh my God.
While Enda has a breakdown, on to...
Where's my free bus pass?
Very famous in Ireland, Ms. Katie Taylor against Chantel. What did you think of the actual fight?
Fight of the year.
Do you reckon?
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was really good.
I really do. And I watched it back on telly, and it was just as action-packed as what I'd seen with my own 2 eyes. It was non-stop, wasn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong. Katie held a bit too much for my liking.
But that's clever.
And I do... Sorry?
That's clever. Like, that's what a boxer does when they're hurt. They hold, you know? I mean, because I thought my biggest criticism of her against Serrano was she didn't fucking hold, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, it can kill the 2-minute argument again, isn't it? Like, if that was in a 3-minute round, that would have killed the pace of the round. But because it's a 2-minute round, it just got straight back to it.
You know, I mean, Katie was fighting for the everything she trained for, which is 2-minute rounds. Katie Taylor has always said she'd never fight 3-minute rounds, and there's a reason for that. She knows her own limitations.
Her energy system wouldn't be able for it.
Yeah, exactly. She knows her limitations. She knows her strength. She knows how to play to it. She's not Michael Conlon. You know,
Katie's a sprinter. You know,
but Katie knows what works and what doesn't, so she's not going to do something that's detrimental to her.
Yeah,
like,
one thing I'll say about the fight is 8-2 was a travesty of a scorecard. I don't know how
that was very unfair. That was very.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how anyone could have had that any more than a round apart. I thought it was a really good fight. I thought Cameron nicked it. Like, unpopular opinion in that crowd that day. But look, it was tight, and I knew, like, you know, I cheered as well as everyone else did when she got the nod.
Well, but, can I just say, as a guy who's judged over 1,000 fights, I definitely think Katie won. You know, I bow to you boxing experience, but the one thing I do know is judging, and judging that fight, Katie definitely won for me. You know what I mean?
You thought Taylor beat Castro, though.
Yeah.
I got it right. I picked the winner. You all got it wrong, and you just ran with the narrative. Ooh, an Englishman's wronged, and I mean the media.
I score fights round by round like everybody else.
You're not
Catterall won. Catterall won that fight, but anyways, yeah. Look, I regardless.
Catterall GTX.
But yeah, look, I thought it was a fantastic fight. My fight of the year personally. And yeah, I look forward to a trilogy that hopefully will happen.
Oh, absolutely, and hopefully will be in the Aviva Stadium.
And if not, stick it in the Aviva. Yeah.
I don't think it'll fill Croke Park, to be honest, but it would fill the Aviva.
What's the capacity of those two? I know Croke Park
45,000 versus 70.
Yeah,
I'd say Aviva's 65, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It would be, including the pitch.
Jeez, you're not going to fit that many seats in the pitch.
For concerts, I think it's like about 65 to 70.
It's definitely not.
give it a Google there, somebody, because I'm using my phone.
Hello, Google. So I also thought that Cameron won that fight. She nicked it, but I think again it's one of those fights where I'm not going. Cameron won that fight and Katie got lucky. It was totally legitimate. There was a good couple of swing rounds in there.
There was swing rounds, yeah.
But I will say
the capacity of the Aviva Stadium is 51,711.
So 50 odd thousand.
So with the pitch included, you could probably get another 8 to 10,000.
You'd be lucky to get 5,000.
Yeah, there's not. It's interesting with the pitch stuff. It never adds as much.
That's a short pitch. That's for rugby. It's not a GA pitch.
But certainly 50 to 55,000 is there.
That's solid. Like, that's not bad.
But it's not 70,000 which you were claiming.
But for the Katie Taylor Chantel Cameron thing, the better the fight was. I agree that Katie held. I agree that Katie did a headbutt. Chantel was her own worst enemy in that fight because the things she did that made her a nightmare for Katie in the first fight, she just totally took away.
Can I just come in on one thing? The reason it wasn't a knockdown was because Chantel was standing on her foot when she threw the punch, and you can't do that. So that's why the referee.
I don't think she was.
You can think what you want. She was.
When the footage just slowed down, it doesn't look like she was stood on her foot at all.
She definitely stood on her foot.
Yeah, I would also pick Stephen. I would also pick Cameron in the third fight. But it's also
because Katie's no spring chicken, and Cameron should be able to, work out the kinks that didn't work for her in the second fight.
It's actually I've watched both fights back since, and I think the big thing that what Katie does right is Katie fights in a box. Okay, so when you watch her fight, she throws her flurry of punches. Those punches all land in exactly the same area. She's got a beautiful jab, but outside of the jab, the hand loops over, which means you've got this specific area where it hits the target. The left hook comes over, and it's this specific area. The left uppercut comes there. So there's a little box where Katie fights. Okay, she doesn't punch straight through it. It loops slightly because it's all to do with coming over hands from the amateur days, and she's so fast at it. What Chantel did brilliantly in the first round, whether you think it was a knockdown or not, what Chantel did well in the first fight is she punches very straight, and she's big enough and punches hard enough and is technically sound enough that she punches through Katie's. I'm not going to say through her box, but you know what I mean. So she comes right down the line through that target area. So Katie cannot punch.
That's the quote of the evening.
I know, quote of the box. Yeah, this is an unfortunate one. You can ignore that. And it comes right down.
I'm so childish. The irony is I'm the oldest here and I'm so childish I'm laughing at that.
So Katie can't then land her punches because if Chantel's
in her box.
Chantel's in her box. Okay? I'm going to get so much stick for this.
I wonder would Katie like Chantel in her box. Apparently she would, but that's just rumour.
Definitely not getting into that one. But in this fight,
you can ask her that, and
I'm not doing that. Chantel she walked straight into her punching area, like straight into the meat grinder, and that is effectively what happened. I've broken Enda.
What is your fucking metaphors like this evening? Meat grinder and box.
We're doing well so far. I
think if Cameron just stiff armed Katie and just literally in and out with her straight shots, I think she could make life very easy for herself.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, Cameron is the bigger girl.
Yeah, like
100% she'd win. I agree with you completely there.
Sorry, Stephen, I try.
And see, with like what I was seeing in person, and then it's what I saw on the rewatch too. I scored the exact same as I scored it in person. I thought Katie was hitting so much arms and gloves. Like a lot of those flurries didn't land, and then Chantel threw 2 or 3, and at least 2 of them landed. And Katie's head was flying back. Like Cameron does have a bit of pop in her shots. Like,
well, Cameron is more powerful puncher than Katie. That's just.
And I think that's what won the fight for me with Cameron was her accuracy, her picking the shots. Katie throwing 8 or 9 shots is great on the eyes, but they have to land. Do you know?
I think it's worth bringing up the atmosphere. The atmosphere one in person obviously goes in Katie's favor, but watching it from home, the commentary team they had a nightmare.
Oh, very bad, very bad. And
on the
I
zone,
think it was
a bad commentary team.
Yeah, they were very bad. I know it's a shocker. I know it doesn't happen often.
Do you know what's really frustrating about that is that they should have the best commentary team.
Do you know what? Got to me?
No, but you know why they don't? Is because they are just only get there if they're matchroom yes men. If they're not, they're dumped.
I think it was Andy who said it on the Boxing News show that Andy Lee kept calling her Katie.
Yes, and the other one was Cameron,
and I think like that intimacy definitely
it's almost like
through.
Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher on the football. It's like
almost.
Stop being such a fanboy, and if you're a commentator or a co-commentator, do your damn job.
I think the atmosphere in there now, look,
the boxer you want to win.
Like the atmosphere in there, if I'd have closed my eyes, right? If I'd have closed my eyes for that fight, Katie won every second of it.
Yeah, of course she did.
But do you know what I mean?
And I think Andy Lee, again, it's the same as Andy's going to get the grief here because Andy Lee was the one that was there. Didn't think Costello was any better, but he is a fantastic commentator and probably the best pundit when there's not an Irish fighter on the card, or he's not involved in an Irish fighter on that,
or a traveller,
or something like that. And it's the same with. Actually, I don't think Tony Bellew is a particularly bad pundit, as long as he's nowhere near his mates.
No, but sorry. Okay, even if it wasn't his mates fighting, has Tony Bellew ever made a coherent comment that you thought, that's good insight?
Yeah, he has.
I think Tony makes decent comments when it's not his mates.
Think Tony knows. Tony's very good at spotting when someone's getting tired, when they're not showing it. He's very good at knowing when someone's hurt. He has great eyes. He knows when to look when people are looking at shots. He gives a really good boxer's insight into things, I think. Yeah. But when he's talking about his mates like AJ or Chisora, you just can't let him near the ring. Like you just can't.
And that's it. Pick the people that are appropriate for the job. So I'm not asking to never see Andy Lee again. I'm just asking to be like, right.
And you know what's annoyed me as well? Frampton used to be damn good. Oh, Adam's gone.
We've all gone. We're back.
The Scotsman managed to find another 50p to put in the meter.
Just a brief commercial break there.
I'm surprised it wasn't a really old 50p that you had from, your whatever communion equivalent is in Protestant land.
But look, you wouldn't have had Lee Wood commenting on the Gill fight the other day. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Yeah, and that was my kind of major criticism.
No, and I agree with you. That's a major bugbear of mine. And ever since I was doing the watch-alongs with Joel, I've started muting the commentary and just watched
so much of the atmosphere. It really annoys me. It's why I love the live boxing, because you get the atmosphere and I don't have to listen to the commentary.
No, but the only other thing as well about muting it is you don't hear that woman that's at every show squealing like a banshee.
I think they put her in to annoy Enda. Well, that's my theory, because I never hear her when I go to
just me, because someone had said it on Twitter one day, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's another person here."
You know, I don't ever mute the boxing, but you know what I do mute? The Voltarol ads.
Oh god,
that's what I mute.
That horrendous betting person that the zone stick up.
Yeah, it's so bad. But yeah, look, I think the rematch the trilogy has to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think for both girls, it's the fight that makes sense, knowing that the Serrano fight's not happening.
Yeah, and if the Irish government had any sense, they would.
Of course they would.
Eddie Hearn asked.
You don't get into governments if you have sense. We all know that.
No, but the fact of the matter is the Middle East are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Katie Taylor is a national hero in Ireland. All Eddie has to do is promise to give 10,000 tickets to kids to fill out the damn stadium, and you'd fill Crow Park.
Yeah, I mean that would be fantastic, and it would actually work out really
because I think Katie can get 6,000, but over that I think is asking too much. So if you've 10,000 screaming little kids in there, it's a win for the Irish government, and it's a win for Katie Taylor. And
but I suddenly want to go less if there's 10,000 screaming children.
Stick them up in the nosebleeds.
That's it. Very quick.
They're hardly going to be ringside.
On to the next one, gentlemen.
And she won was ringside.
Benavidez Andrade. What did we think of that?
I'm delighted Benavidez did how well he did.
He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Oh, I was just so happy because Andrade was this fella that was whinging. He never got a chance. He never, but anytime he fought anyone, he never fought well.
Can I just say one thing in defense of Andrade before I shit all over him?
Yeah.
Yep.
He tried his fucking heart out, didn't he?
I think he just wasn't good enough.
I legitimately think he panicked. I think he got in there, and I think they went. I think he realizes that he's 35,
more
he's
than I can
not
chew.
boxed, and he's like, I've got to go for it. And credit to it, right? So we all moaned earlier on that folk just go on the back foot and do nothing. One, I don't actually think Andrade was capable of doing that, but oh my god, he went right.
He didn't want to.
I've got 2 rounds because by all accounts they were saying that Victor Conte had him come in at 190 pounds, which is
what the hell is with that?
Absolute madness. But they just
should have been 175 max.
Well, you go, how is Andrade winning that fight? And he's winning that fight by making it as boring as humanly possible.
And let's just look at Canelo Charlo, right? Versus Andrade Benavidez, right? Who do we give the credit to out of that?
I'd watch Andrade before I'd watch Charlo. I never thought I'd say
exactly. I'm not being funny with you, right? Benavidez is a monster.
Andrade before I'd watch another Michael Conlan fight.
And Andrade, he was a winner even though he lost that night because he made a lot of fans, I'm sure. People who never liked him winning probably liked him when he lost. And he's entertaining when he fights like that.
It's how you go about the thing that matters. But problem is
it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it.
That particular version of Andrade is not as good as the Caleb Plant that he beat.
I think Caleb is really underrated. I think Caleb is a very good fighter.
Underrated, and I think Andrade, that version will have been overrated.
And I think with Andrade, I really like Andrade and very impressed with his skills and all that. But that, coming in the way he came in there, the way Victor Conte had him, that doesn't sit right with me. I don't think he walks around at 190.
Well, he'd never been at that weight in camp. So why? So you fight at the weight.
So he was sparring about 175, 180, maybe.
I know my things every now and again, Stephen. Every now and again, I say something accurate.
It's like there's, amongst all the crap, there's one little gemstone.
Nugget.
But there's an awful lot of crap too that you have to shovel through to find it.
What they say about the broke clocks, isn't it?
Yeah, right, twice a day, absolutely. But that's only if the clock is broken.
No. I'm not a broken clock. I'm the gemstone in the shit. Because the point is very good, but it's just you've got to throw too much shit to get it. The broken clock is only right by default. I'm claiming credit. But there is an awful lot of shit.
But yeah, the Benavidez then, moving on to him, he's not. And
Jesus Christ, people pay their phone bill.
I think with Benavidez, the world is his oyster right now. I think the way Canelo's being ran, he's got 2 more fights with PBC, am I correct?
That's what I've heard.
So I reckon it'll probably be Charlo number 2 versus Jamal this time. And then it'll be Benavidez when the contract's up.
Right. Here is what I think is, and what I say heard, the multitude of boxing podcasts that I've listened to and people that know their shit, I've said, this is what's happened. Charlo did such a bad job that they're not going to put Jamal in because they don't think they can sell Canelo versus the other Charlo because he did such a bad job. So it looks, from what they're saying, it might be Munguia. If Munguia beats Ryder, the reason Munguia is taking the Ryder fight in January is that win after Ryder fought Canelo puts him in good stead with fighting Canelo in May. If Benavidez is getting the fight, Benavidez is getting the fight in September. So what Benavidez wants to do is fight Jamal so that Canelo can't say, well, I'll fight him next instead. So my money next year is Canelo fights Munguia in May and Benavidez in September. That's what I've heard.
I don't think
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Ryder.
That would be perfectly fine.
I don't pick him either.
I
Sorry,
think
you
Ryder
don't-
wins that one.
What? Sorry, I missed that. What?
I think Ryder beats Munguia.
That's it. That's a call. You know, it's not a bad one. I could see it happening.
Yeah.
I just think when you look at Gary Spike O'Sullivan, Liam Smith, you know, they took Munguia, they took a battering off Munguia, but they also took Munguia the long way around it, you know.
Mm.
It's the Derevyanchenko
Ryder,
fight. That's the one.
yeah,
that worries.
Derevyanchenko, yeah.
Mm.
Like that was a proper battle, and he was nearly gone.
Oh, Derevyanchenko's record does nothing to say how good he is.
He's the absolute
Who needs him?
personification of records of DJs. Is a really good fight.
100%. A world class fighter who just didn't get the belt. That's all he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He is world class.
But everyone knows if you're looking for a fight of the year, he's gonna be thereabouts.
Yeah, because his fight with Golovkin was unbelievable.
Oh, savage. Absolute savage.
Another classic. And I think that's what put Golovkin over the edge. I think Golovkin won that fight, but I think that was the one where
that
Golovkin
body shot was the first bit of weakness we ever seen out of Golovkin.
I've ever seen with Gennady.
But yeah, look,
totally
Benavidez.
Totally agree, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly. It's 50-50. You wouldn't rule out Ryder. You know,
I'm picking Ryder as well, by the way.
I don't know if it. I think I'm quietly confident now about Ryder winning that.
Yeah, I like Ryder in that fight.
If it goes the distance, it's 50-50.
Oh yeah, I mean if it goes the distance, it's 80-20 if the Canelo fight's on the line.
I was going to say if it goes the distance, you know what's happening.
But yeah, look, Benavidez is the best 168 pounder I think I've seen since Andre Ward.
Wow, that's huge praise.
That is. So what? Groves, DeGale, Smith,
Canelo.
You
think he's better than?
I don't think he's better than the Canelo that ran through everybody in.
Exactly. He might beat Canelo now, but he wasn't better than the best Canelo.
But the best Benavidez one day will be better than that.
I don't think the best Canelo was at 168. I think the best Canelo was the Golovkin rematch.
The best of Canelo at 160. The best 160.
I think Canelo is a better fighter than Benavidez, but I think Benavidez is a better super middleweight than Canelo. Does that make sense?
That's a very fair shout.
I would agree with that. Also, one final thing. Look, who's been calling for the Canelo Benavidez fight for 18 months rather than the Charlo ones?
Oh, there's some lad I know from Scotland. Can't. What's his fucking name?
Couldn't think of him.
No, he's a nice fella.
Jim Muir.
He's great taste in super middleweight fights. That's for sure.
That's the one. Absolutely right.
Mr. Adam Logan.
Shirts, though, however,
I like my shirt, and I've got a moose as well.
There's a moose loose about this hoose.
There's a moose about the hoose. It's all strongman gear.
Just a bad taste in football team. That's all. That's all I'll give out about. But look, we get over that.
Say what, Glasgow Rangers?
So do not cast that aspersion to me. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
But yeah.
Not.
So what do you
taking candy from a baby? Is it?
So if you're being realistic then about Benavidez, and we forget about our fantasy of he fights Canelo next, who do you want next from?
Do you know who I want, and it's never happening? Is Morrell. That's the fight I want.
Yeah.
If you could say it right, you get to pick anybody. I'm picking David Morrell. That's the fight I want. The fight I think that happens is Charlo.
Did you see?
What about Tim Tszyu?
Not at 168.
No, that's two weight classes. It's the same as Jermel.
I think I'm.
Call me crazy.
Crazy Luke.
If Bivol wants to boil himself down to 168,
I would love that fight.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Speaking of Bivol, has anyone seen the Ring's pound for pound ratings? Good Jesus, that was dreadful. Apart from the top 5,
I didn't read them, but I don't really in a pound for pound rating. I don't care about below top 5. To be fair,
well, that's what I said.
Top 3, to be honest, in pound for pound tells you everything.
It's Bud, Inoue, Usyk,
and then
and
the rest. It's like in racing, you know.
Like imagine you're a boxer, right? And you're a professional boxer. I'm number 7 pound for pound in the world. Did you know that? Like,
Well,
come on.
it's a
Like,
brag. It's a brag. If I was number 7 in the world, I'd be very happy.
no, but
You
like,
know
I
what you
mean, it
say?
doesn't
You
really
say
matter.
top
If you're
10.
not top 3, it doesn't count.
Yeah. You say
But so why
top
does
10.
3 or 2 count then?
Podium.
Because there's a silver and bronze.
Where? Not in pro boxing, there isn't.
There
And
is.
in amateur boxing, there's 4. There's 2
Yeah,
bronzes.
2 bronzes. 2 bronzes makes no sense to me. It should be a box off for
You
those.
know why there's 2 bronzes?
No.
Because the medical things just wouldn't allow an unnecessary fight.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
that's
very good.
the reason. That's the reason it was.
I would argue it's very necessary.
Well, if you want your sport to continue, you have to do what the medical professionals say.
Unfortunately.
I don't
No,
know.
Yeah, look,
unfortunately, I think they're looking out for the general health and well-being of the fighter. I mean, more so than a promoter or a trainer or anyone else that's going to benefit financially. They have no benefit financially from this.
With Benavidez, we'll touch on his brother as well, Jose.
Mm.
He's a ballsy bastard, isn't he?
I was going to say, good luck to you if you're going to touch him.
He can
Honestly, I can't believe it's the same guy that fought Crawford.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe that at all. That is insane.
And was that a 10-rounder? Or am I going mad?
Yeah. Because Charlo could... Well, remember, Charlo
have we covered all the fights, guys?
No, we've got 2 left.
Oh, come here.
Because I was up in the middle of the morning, I was wrecked. And I was
Remember you said you were going to be like 2 minutes in every fight.
Oh, I said one word answers. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah. No. Please don't do that.
Well, somewhere between the two would be a lovely happy medium.
Right. We'll press on because we've got 2 to go. And we'll go from there.
Right.
So
you've got 13 and a half minutes left, and that's it.
That's fine. We'll do that. Right, gentlemen. Prograis versus Haney. So obviously we have to finish with the most important fight. So Prograis versus Haney. That was the best single individual boxing performance from like a pure boxing standpoint I've seen since Mayweather fought Canelo.
What about Crawford against Spence?
No, I mean like a touch and don't get touched. That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah. No. Yeah. But I've always been Haney over Davies over the rest of them, and I stand by that, and I'm delighted. And I really want to see Haney Stevenson, obviously, because I really like both of them, and I want to see who the best is. I always would have said Stevenson. Now I think it could be Haney.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. Now, very quickly to touch on Prograis to get on there. Shane McGuigan did an interview with the boxing news, and he nailed it with Prograis, which was Prograis' best assets were the fact he was very slick and he was a very good puncher, but he was able to punch in more flurries, and he's lost that as he's got older and inactive.
Yeah.
You know whose fault that is? It's Regis Prograis for the management choices he's made. That stuff matters, and everyone that signed with certain companies have since they've never progressed. But oh my God, was Devin Haney brilliant? And what did you think?
Oh, I was so delighted. I covered the fight for Joel, and it was brilliant. Devin Haney, a masterful performance. I think we only gave Prograis the first round.
Didn't give him anything.
But you could, the first round was a toss-up, and for whatever reason, it fell to Prograis. And after that, it was pure Haney all the way.
What do you think, Luke? I know I literally watched it and I thought, I know exactly who's going to love this.
Yeah, look, class. Honestly, I do only need one word. Excellent.
That's true.
You can't really fault it at all.
No, you couldn't.
The only thing maybe you could pick on is when he rocked him, throw a left hook at him there. Just see, does he fall? But no, he just stayed, disciplined as anything, as we were talking about earlier. Discipline is so important, and he has it in spades.
Yeah, and that's why I think he's going to go very far. And he's got that.
It's scary too, because we're talking about he'll go far. He's already been an undisputed champion. He's a two-weight world champion now.
You know what we mean.
And this is how high. No, this is a compliment to Haney. It's how high his ceiling is.
No, but we're talking of in the all-time great discussion.
That's
That
the
level.
thing. Exactly. That's what we think of him. So it's
But
excellent.
we must beat Stevenson for that.
Look, I think Haney's days at 140 aren't too long either.
Mhm.
I don't think he's sticking around.
Yeah, look, I think he's going to go all the way up to 154 probably by the time he's finished.
Mhm.
But yeah, look, absolute class. There's nothing I can say that you haven't already said. Excellent. My type of boxer, as you know, Adam. You know, hit, don't get hit. You know, he didn't take the piss either. You know, he was really switched on the whole time, and I loved it. Loved every second of it. And great big shout out to Andy Cruz before him. Savage.
My boy, that
An
was
absolute
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna level one criticism at Devin Haney.
Go on.
Right, this is my criticism.
A Scottish party pooper. Who'd have thunk it?
Right, if that's not Regis Prograis, okay,
Mhm.
what's the difference in that fight versus the Stevenson fight?
He doesn't land as much.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Devin is even though he doesn't necessarily, and we can't say he doesn't have the power because he knocked Regis on his ass.
Mm.
But he should have, I think, or I would have liked, and this is the thing, I'd have liked to see him turn the screw, like you said. When he goes down, when he gets up, throw a hook, just a flurry and go, right, is he going to go?
Because
even when he rocked him in the seventh.
What's going to happen with Devin, right? That particular detail in his DNA means that he will probably never be a total superstar with the general
he'll
public.
never be a pay-per-view superstar.
But he's better for it. He'll be harder to beat for it.
The thing is with Haney, right? You know the way, like, and I'm sorry, I apologize now, Adam, before bringing this up. The way Mayweather battered Guy.
Yes. That's
I
twice
think
I've had to talk about this today.
I think Haney would have decisioned Gatti.
Yes.
Even though he could have done the same thing.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you said Haney would have decisioned Mayweather, and I went, nah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No, do you know what I'm saying though?
Oh
Yeah,
no, I do.
I think
he wouldn't.
I think he's so safety first that it could come to his detriment one day.
But that's why I think
It'll be
people.
selling.
That's why I think people, and I don't know whether it's people just don't like him because he's not a nice guy. You know, that's why I think people don't. You know, they're
He
so
seems nice enough.
They don't give Mayweather his due regard.
Oh no, Mayweather's a horrible person.
No, he's a horrible human being, but he's a fucking amazing boxer.
Yeah, that's my problem with Mayweather. He's a horrible person. That's where
You
I
have to
draw the
separate
line.
the art from the artist sometimes.
No, I like Michael Jackson, so it's hard to argue.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch the movie The Piano either.
No,
but,
right.
Yeah, look, amazing.
Who do you want?
He's in.
Give me a word. Who do you want next?
Lopez.
Stevenson.
Lopez. So Lopez is my guy out of those lot. That's the one I want
fair.
because I think that's the fight to make. It's so good because it has everything. Because Haney is so fundamentally sound and still reasonably fun to watch. Lopez is an unbelievable fighter.
I think he's got the most ability out of the lot of them.
But
he's got the most
Lopez,
because he has power.
Teofimo Lopez has an Achilles heel, which is outside the ring.
Well, that's his head. Teofimo is his own worst enemy.
So that would be his downfall.
But so we're going to do this before we get on to the last one. So I'm looking at the time. Right. On the boxing news, they did Haney, Garcia, Tank, Lopez, and Stevenson, right? So, well, they did 4, but I'm giving you 5. 1 to 5. I know we all have different reasonings. Give me a reason, give me your order, and then we're moving on.
Okay, I'll go first. Number 1, it would have been Stevenson, but it has to be Haney now.
Yep.
Number 2, Stevenson. Number 3, Teofimo Lopez.
Yep.
Number 4, Tank. Number 5, Ryan, Instagram boxer Garcia.
Look.
I don't know how Enda ranked it, but I'm going to rank by who I think is best.
Yep.
That's what I did do.
Well, I think it's different because I'm going to give you a different set of rankings.
Is that not what he asked?
No, but okay. So
I ranked who I thought was best.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll give
perfect.
you reasons for mine.
So why did you have to qualify what I did?
Because I'm going to ask.
Because there's different ways to rank it. So I think Stevenson is the best out of them I think Lopez then after that at the moment. I think Haney, then it's Davis, then it's Garcia.
Cool. So I've got Lopez 1, best wins. Haney next best wins and achievements. Then Stevenson. Then Tank. And then Garcia. That's my order.
100% agree with that on achievements.
I think that Stevenson's the best out of all of them, if that makes any sense to any of you.
Yeah,
it's the great versus best, isn't it? Again.
Yeah, that's it.
Stevenson has the most potential.
Yeah.
It hasn't been realized yet, whereas Haney has given us, he's shown
tangible
us
proof.
Diamonds that's inside that mine. Whereas Stevenson, they're still in there and they have to be extracted.
Absolutely.
That's why I was asking the clarification.
Yeah.
Because
why Haney went above Stevenson. Because Haney broke into the mine. Stevenson covered up the mine with his last fight.
Yeah, so that's why it's the three of us had it a bit differently, but we all kind of came to similar.
It's the whole point. That's why boxing is the way it is, because it's very subjective.
So this is the fun bit, because this was the point, was the boys in the boxing news, 2 of them had Tank at the top.
Mad.
Tebbit had Tank at the top.
Well, I'm not surprised Tebbit did. Who did Barry
Tank is very, very good. And he made Ryan Garcia, who is a good fighter, regardless of I know he's
nailing my colours.
What he did to Luke Campbell, you can't do that if you're not a very good fighter.
Lots of
and even against Oscar Duarte at the weekend there, like the other weekend, that was a good win. That's a solid win.
Do you think Ryan will win his world title?
Ryan will win a world title, 100%.
He will, yeah. I don't see why he wouldn't.
Well,
especially if he gets
competition that's there. Like, had there been a weaker division, he would have won one by now.
But there is. It's Rolly.
That division is now open season.
Because you got Mateus. I don't think he beats Mateus. I don't think he beats Lopez.
Romero.
I think he beats Rolly Romero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Or O'Hara Davies.
Oh, God, no. I'm not even dealing with those 2 at the minute. Right. Last but not least, we are going to Bournemouth.
3 minutes. What?
3 minutes. We're going down to Bournemouth. What did you guys think of the fight? What did you think of Chris? What did you think of Masternick?
I thought it was a brilliant fight. Masternick was winning, but as I always say, and people talked about, and I made the analogy between this and the Wood Warrington fight. Is Warrington was winning the rounds, but ultimately a fight is won by one fighter besting the other. Knocking them unconscious, which is a concussion, which is, a KO like Wood did, or damaging them, like breaking the ribs, like Chris Smith did. Both very legitimate ways of winning. It's not as if he elbowed him in the ribs or he kneed him in the ribs. He punched that rib cage hard, and that's how he got his victory, and it's very deserved. It doesn't matter who's behind the scorecard. His game plan worked, Yeah. So like Wood, and I really hate it when people go on about, Warrington was ahead of the cards. Yeah, well, doesn't matter, Would you rather be nearly saved or nearly drowned? The fact of the matter is...
I like that. That's a good one.
But it is the analogy, he nearly won, but he didn't. He was knocked the fuck out. And he got his ribs broken and he couldn't fight any longer. It's an excellent game plan. Not everyone can do it. And Chris Smith's never known as a hard puncher, but like you said, Adam, he targeted that body. And he knew it was there, and he kept going. I mean, that picture of his ribs, Masternick's ribs at the end, I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, he broke more than one. So, I mean, and myself and Joel, we had Masternick up in the cards, and we missed the fact that the ribs were broken before it, but afterwards it was blindingly obvious. So, Chris Smith deserves every credit. His method of winning a fight was exemplary. Stick to that game plan and win. And it's very Shane McGuigan as well. Find the weakness and target it. Yeah.
That's a great bit of corner work.
Well, so he deserves it. And it's nice to see the good guys still win.
What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, look, I wasn't too impressed with Chris on the boxing standpoint. You know, he definitely lost the battle but won the war. Like Mastanek was sharp. He was making Chris miss. He was landing on Will at Chris as well. You know, the sharpness wasn't quite there like it was a few months ago, when he needed it most. I don't know what it was. I don't know if he's overtrained or what, but what he does have is sick fitness and an absolute, like, you know, a solid mindset too, no die attitude. And I don't think breaking the ribs was intentional at all. Not that he wasn't trying to break them when he was hitting them, but I don't think that was his, you know, he was going out to do that. But I think what he was going out to do was wear Masternak down
Can't you
and
see that?
be in the fight. Chavez Taylor. Yeah, yeah, very true.
You know what I mean?
Um,
Like it's there's more than one way to skin a cat.
oh, there is.
You know,
And
and
like I say, I think Chris was probably as shocked as anyone when Masternak didn't get up and
Yeah.
saw that his ribs were
he
in the
broke his
shape that
ribs.
they were in.
I'm fully
Oh, but
aware.
I don't think Chris knew that. I just think, I've landed
Why
a good body
don't you
shot
think
there.
he knew that?
Because he didn't fight like he knew it. And I think when he landed the body shots, it was just another body shot. It was just
Bro, what ways should he react to indicate that he knew he broke his ribs?
target that again and again and again and
He
again.
did. He did target that area again and again. That's how he won.
I think what he did is I think he knew he'd done damage to the ribs. I don't think he knew that it was enough that Masternak wouldn't get up.
Yeah.
Because we were all shocked. Because that was the thing in the arena.
What was it like there?
Oh man!
No,
like,
but to say that Chris Billum-Smith didn't know he'd impacted him, I just think was a bit farcical when he obviously did.
The big change occurred with 30 seconds to go in that round.
Yeah.
Because so the arena was amazing. We were actually sat in amongst all of Masternak's Polish fans, and they were unbelievable. They were absolutely mad.
You know, they're diehard, and it's wonderful.
Great.
You know,
just a wonderful lot. And I think so. I'll do my little monologue on Chris, right? Because I basically we've sat for an hour and 30 odd minutes so that I can do this little monologue.
Okay.
Chris, we've all forgotten what Chris is, right? Which is Chris is somebody who, when I first saw Chris at 2-0 on a small hall show, we were going, if Chris wins a British title, that is a huge achievement for him. And that same man has won a world title. But Chris's attributes are the fact that he's made from the same tough shit that Carl Froch is. He's unbelievably fit, and he's a technically excellent puncher. He doesn't punch hard, but how he punches is fantastic. He turns into it really, really well, which is why it looks so good. He is not a brilliant athlete. He's not a super smooth boxer, which means that the Chris that beats Lawrence Okoli, that's great because Chris is an underdog. Chris is always going to look. So when he fights a Masternak punches fast. He's technically very sound. He doesn't punch so hard, but because he punches quickly, he's always going to look poor. And it'll be the same in other fights. Chris will struggle in fights you expect him to win because that is the way just his athletic gifts work. And that's why when we were talking about the fight building up, I was saying that I really think it's a tough fight for Chris because Masternak's a tough bastard and what it was. 30 seconds from the end of that 7th round, the tide changed because Masternak stops going around dictating it and he went to the rope.
Fucking bastard.
Don't know what's going on there, but that was the difference. And I thought, basically, did Chris get lucky? I don't think he did. Was he massively behind on the scorecards? Yes, but he got to him. And like Enda says, you can't criticize one fighter for pulling it out of the bag and then for being behind and pulling it out of the bag and then then do it to someone else.
Like at the end of the day, like what people need to remember is as well, and what Chris had in the front of his mind, I'm sure, this is a 12-round fight.
Yes.
Oh, exactly.
So it didn't matter. It didn't matter that he was 3 or 4 rounds down.
No.
Even mathematically,
at that point, he knew he needed a stoppage.
Yeah. On my scorecard, if I was scoring, he'd have been fine.
Okay. If it was on your scorecard, all you had to do was turn up.
I think Chris won 2 rounds. I think I had him winning 2 rounds going into the stoppage.
That's 5-2, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So like, if you're looking at how the tide was changing as well, mathematically he might not have even been in too much trouble because the odds of him dropping Masterneck was increasing and increasing. You know, he could have had a couple of 10-8s or whatever, and he fights like Chris is a perfect 12-round fighter.
Oh yeah.
Because
But
if you stuck
that's the thing
him,
about Chris, and like I always go on, boxing ultimately is a discipline. Chris's best attribute is he's so disciplined, you know, and I think that's why he works so well with Shane McGuigan, because
he has complete trust.
Shane asks nothing but, you know, his fighters do what he asks them, you know, and if they don't, you can go away and be shit somewhere else and come
Be
back
not as
and then I'll beat you.
What do we
Before-
think next? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, just it just popped into my head there because you mentioned
Yes.
Shane McGuigan. Craig Richards joining him is
Yeah.
a very interesting move.
That's
Yeah,
a
it's
very-
good for Craig Richards. I hope it
Yeah.
works well, because Craig's a decent fighter, and
Got a lot of fucking bottle, like the way he performed
exactly.
against
And I
Trayvon.
think, you know, if he can get if Shane can just mold him and discipline him, you know, we could see very similar results.
We could see
he
very
has
exciting
done-
fights.
He
Hmm.
has done tons of rounds with Chris.
Hmm.
Tons of rounds. That's where they know him
Okay.
from. Is he's done a huge
Right.
amount of rounds with Chris.
So, sorry, Adam, I interrupted your
All right.
question. You were
Are we
saying what's
what-
next for Chris?
What's next?
I think are they going to drop the IBF from Optaya? Is he going to fight next weekend?
Yeah, that's done. Right. So this is for, again, I'll give you the little monologue from what I've heard.
Hmm.
Optaya drops the belt. He's the Ring Magazine champion, but Optaya's
Yeah.
belt goes. They want to put, because at one point Reactor was the mandatory for the IBF, and then he chose the other
Mhm.
route because he couldn't get the Optaya fight. So they want to put the IBF belt on the line versus Chris for the WBO, so the WBO and the IBF, under the proviso that the winner fights
Winner
Bradis.
fights the Apataya. Oh, Breeze
Yeah.
did. All right.
It'd be
Because he's
Bradis,
number one.
'cause he's
Bradis,
the
sorry,
mandatory.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean, obviously they stripped Jaya Apataya because he wouldn't fight Breedis. Obviously, Breedis needs to have that
that
shot.
fight.
I think.
What
I'll tell you
happens-
what.
Yeah.
Breedis and Smith is some fight.
Fucking brilliant fight that fight is. Absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, we know what's happening next with Chris. Reactor's
Yeah, I
next.
mean he has to fight a Coley, right?
Correct. So he has currently got a 3-fight deal with Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Masternak's 1, Reactor is 2. If he beats Reactor, it's the second fight with the Coley. And then hopefully he gets, you know, a Bradis, Opataya sort of thing. But
One
Opataya's got
thing, a Coley can't fight for an IBF title at cruiserweight.
no. So this is the other rumor going around, is that a Coley goes up to Bridgerweight.
Right.
That's what I
So
think.
Bridgerweight only exists in the WBC.
And the WBA.
And the WBA.
When does that happen?
They've announced
Super
it as Super
Cruiserweight.
Cruiserweight.
Oh yeah, it's not the same name though. Yeah, no.
No, different name.
It's the same weight
but
though.
But it's the same weight, is it? All right.
Yeah.
I think 223 is the.
Well, I'm
cutoff
sorry,
or something.
but it's very typical of Mario Suleiman to name it Bridgerweight after a young boy that's all, you know, hurt and stuff, because you can't say anything mean and bad about it then, because you're insulting the little boy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the WBC are an absolute nightmare. But if you could pick somebody, who do you pick, Enda? Who would you like to see Chris fight next?
For Chris's sake or for my sake?
Who do you want?
I'd love him to see fight Jay Apataya.
Enda? Luke?
Breedis, definitely. I
Breedis?
think that styles clash. Yeah, what a fight.
Here's the one I would love to see next. I'd love to see him fight Canelo. If Canelo wants the title in that extra weight class,
Come
that's
get
what
it.
go get it, boy. But that's what I
And
see.
you
But
know what? I'd love it if Chris got, you know, that opportunity. You know, because
That would be
like I said, the good guys deserve it.
Yeah.
The bad guys get it enough times.
I think I do think though Apataya is head and shoulders above the rest of them.
Oh yeah, I definitely think he is the, you know, and I think he's the exciting fighter as well for a
What a
very
style. I love his
For a
style.
very-
He's excellent.
much maligned division.
that's a great division. I think it's a great division.
But you know what I mean?
Yes, because it's
Like
basically
because cruiserweights that aren't good enough for heavyweights stay at cruiserweight is kind of the thing.
yeah, and it's I think Jay's a great fighter. Jai Opataya is a fantastic boxer.
Mm.
But we're going to end it on the fact that,
Apataya's eager to get to heavyweight.
is he?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Right, thank
But
you
he's
both
big
for
enough
the
for
marathon.
heavyweight. That's the problem.
Yeah, it'll be smart.
And let's just say, yup, Chris Billum Smith.
Big up Chris Billum Smith.
Absolutely. Fair dues to Chris. Had a game plan and it worked.
That's it. Right. Thank
Just
you for
like
watching, ladies and gentlemen.
Leeward.
Just
Sorry?
like Leeward. That's all right. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
Slán Fall. Oh, with the review of the year.
Yes, we're going to do a review of the year it was the 3rd of January, yeah?
2nd or 3rd of January, whichever day kind
2nd
of
or
works
3rd,
out.
whatever it is. We'll let you know out on socials. But look after yourself, guys.
Bye-bye. Slán.